How Selena Gomez did it. Juicy besties, let's play pretend. Imagine you're having a lunch date with Selena Gomez. Yes, the Selena Gomez. And she starts telling you her story. Exciting, right? Let's imagine it together, besties. From grass to grace. My untold rise, ruin, and rebirth. If you're watching this, imagine I'm sitting across from you, pulling back the curtain on the part of my life I never fully explained. In this dramatized version of my journey, I want you to picture me saying this. I wasn't supposed to make it. Not from where I came from. Not with the weight I was carrying. Not with the battles no one saw. But somehow, every time the world told me I was done, I found a way to rise again. And before we go deeper, trust me, you'll want to stick around, because later in this story, I'll reveal the moment that should have ended my career forever, and how it became the thing that completely changed my life. This is my grass to grace story, told as if I were narrating it myself, raw, unfiltered, and more shocking than any headline you've read. Let's begin. The girl WHO wasn't supposed to be here. So let's go all the way back. Picture me growing up in Grand Prairie, Texas. A tiny house. A young mom doing her best. A family trying to hold it together. And me, this little kid who wanted to disappear into shows, stories, characters, anything that felt bigger than the life we had. In this reenacted version of my childhood, imagine me telling you. I didn't grow up with much. Actually, I grew up watching my mom count coins to pay for gas. I grew up watching her stretch every dollar. And I grew up wondering why life felt so heavy before it even really started. My parents were young, too young to carry everything the world threw at them. And when they separated, I remember this quiet moment where I looked at my mom and realized, she wasn't just my mother. She was a girl trying to survive. That fueled me. Even as a kid, I felt like my dreams weren't just mine. They were hers too. Then came that audition. That purple dinosaur universe, where kids smiled for the camera while learning to pretend. And suddenly, I wasn't just Selena from Texas. I was Selena from Barney. It was small, but for us, it was everything. But here's the first twist most people don't know. Right after Barney, I hit a wall. Rejection after rejection. Casting directors saying no before I even opened my mouth. And for a moment, I thought maybe they were right. Maybe the dream wasn't mine to have. But I didn't know the next audition I walked into, nervous, shaking, wishing my clothes weren't from the clearance rack, was going to change my life. And before I tell you what happened in that room, let me ask you something. Do you think childhood fame helps a kid grow, or breaks them before they even get started? Tell me in the comments. I want to see which side you're on. Now, let's talk about the moment everything turned. The Disney machine and the first real taste of fame. Imagine me walking into a Disney audition room, trying to look confident even though my hands were shaking. Picture the light, the executives, the cameras, and this voice inside me whispering, "This is it. Don't mess it up." And then, I got the call. You booked it. Wizards of Waverly Place. In this dramatized retelling, imagine hearing me say, that show didn't just change my life. It swallowed it whole. Because becoming Alex Russo wasn't just a role, it was an identity. Millions of kids saw me as their funny, sarcastic, magical best friend. And part of me loved that. But another part wondered, if they loved her so much, would they ever love me? Disney was incredible, but it was also intense. Long hours. No mistakes allowed. Growing up while the world watched every awkward phase. And I mean every single one. People think fame feels like freedom. But for me, it felt like a cage I didn't know how to escape. And just when the show hit its peak, something else hit too. Critics, expectations, pressure. I felt myself separating from Selena Gomez, the girl, and becoming Selena Gomez, the product. I'll tell you exactly how that pressure almost broke me in the next chapter, but before that, I want to know. If you were in my shoes back then, would you have fought for a life in the spotlight, or walked away? Tell me below. Now, let's move into the years when everything glittered on the outside, but behind the scenes, the cracks were getting harder to hide. Music, missteps, and the moment the world turned on me. When I stepped into music, I thought it would be my escape, my chance to be myself, raw and unfiltered. But music opened me up to a new kind of scrutiny. A new kind of pressure. I released albums, toured, smiled on red carpets, won awards, and yet, every time I went online, every comment felt like a punch. You're not good enough. You're not real. She only made it because of Disney. In this reenactment, imagine me admitting, I started believing them. And then, the headlines. The relationship drama. The gossip mill that refused to let me breathe. My personal life became entertainment. People weren't just watching the show anymore. They were watching me break. On stage, I sparkled. Off stage, I was falling apart. The panic attacks started. The depression crept in. I felt like I was drowning in a world begging me to shine. And then, my body gave out. I'll tell you exactly what happened. What doctors told me, what I hid from the world, and how close I came to losing everything, in the next chapter. Keep watching, because this is where the story takes its sharpest turn. Lupus, the transplant, and the near-death moment that changed me. This is the part of the story most people think they know. But they don't know it from my perspective. In this dramatized retelling, imagine I'm whispering. I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to believe my own body was killing me. Lupus hit like a storm. My face swelled. My energy vanished. My joints screamed with pain. And while the cameras captured me smiling, the truth was, I was terrified. When doctors told me my kidneys were failing, it felt like the world froze. You need a transplant. 4 words that rearranged everything. And when a friend stepped forward, a friend willing to give me a part of themselves, I realized grace comes in the most unexpected forms. The surgery was brutal, the recovery, worse, but the hardest part wasn't the knife or the scar. It was facing the truth. I had spent so much time trying to survive the world, that I forgot to survive myself. But this wasn't the end. Not even close, because coming out of that hospital bed, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. In the next chapter, I'll tell you how that moment sparked my entire rebirth, my career revival, my self-love era, and the business move that shocked the beauty industry. Stay with me, you're going to want to hear this. Rebirth, rare beauty, and the second career I never saw coming. So picture me, tired, scarred, but more alive than ever. I decided I was done living for approval. Done living for headlines. Done letting the world define me. In this dramatized telling, imagine me saying, I wanted to build something that mattered. Something real. Something that wasn't just another celebrity product. Enter. Rare beauty. People rolled their eyes at first. Another celebrity brand, they said. Just another vanity project. But what they didn't know was that rare beauty wasn't built for vanity. It was built for healing. Every product, every shade, every campaign, designed with the idea that you shouldn't have to hide what makes you human. And then the world responded. Not with skepticism, but with love. Rare beauty exploded. Sales, impact, community, it became bigger than anything I'd imagined. And suddenly, I wasn't just a singer or actress anymore. I was a founder, a storyteller, a woman finally in control of her own narrative. But this story doesn't end here. Not when the next chapter of my life may be the boldest one yet. The legacy I'm building and the truth I want to leave behind. If you've stayed this long, picture this final scene. I'm looking back at the girl from Texas. The girl who didn't fit in. The girl who cried in hotel rooms. The girl who almost didn't survive the battles no one saw. And in this dramatic retelling of my life, hear me say, I'm not ashamed of the hard parts anymore. They're the reason I'm still here. Because grace isn't about perfection. It's about transformation. It's about rebuilding after the world tries to tear you down. It's about choosing yourself, again and again, no matter who doubts you. And let me leave you with this. You think you know my story. But trust me, the next chapter is the one everyone will talk about. Before you go, tell me in the comments. What do you think is the most defining era of my career? And which celebrities' rise and fall and rise story should Celeb Juices cover next? Don't just watch. Hype the video, share it, and dive into the next Celeb Juices deep dive waiting on the channel. Because this story, it's only the beginning, and you're not going to want to miss what comes next.